Good evening and welcome to Mpk TV News. My name is Lele Tungapi. Let's take a look at some of your leading stories for this evening.
A contractor has locked school children and teachers out of a school in Mthatha following non-payment for work done. A former teacher at Tinaga High School in Kariga in the Eastern Cape has suffered a stroke allegedly due to the stress of going unpaid for months.
A contractor has locked school children and teachers out of a school in Mthatha in the Eastern Cape, and this is following non-payment of work done. The construction company, Siyaphambili Trade 98, that was building school toilets, has locked the school gates, saying it will only reopen once the money has been paid.
This is Twili Junior Secondary School in Mthatha. A construction company that was building toilets in this school decided to close the school last week Wednesday, claiming that after they finished building these toilets in 2017, they never get their money. As we speak, learners are no longer coming to school, and tomorrow they are supposed to start writing their final exams. After waiting for payment for 4 years, the Siyaphambili construction company decided to lock the school. The principal says this situation is affecting their learners.
It affected us negatively from the beginning because we were supposed to be doing the revision. As learners are about to write the exams and they are still young, the revision is necessary for them. So we could not do the revision. Now it seems as if they are not even be able to write the exams. So we are really panicking, and they are panicking.
The parents are waiting outside the gate for a school meeting that was scheduled for today by the Department of Education. They say Eastern Cape government must do something about this matter.
Urhulumente makabhatale itoilet ezazizokakhiwa no contract. Kodwa ke ngexesha ngekazibhatale masicela basuke kubhala abantwana unyaka uphelile.
The director of Siyaphambili Trading 98 says they are not going to open the school up until they get their money.
The project mostly is igqitywe ngo-2017, I think ngo-March ka-2017. Yaqona sithathe esi sigqibo soba sizapha ngenxa yobana aside sibhataleke, and we don't understand into yobana why singabhatali. Yaqona.
He added that they are fighting for the rights of their children.
Nathi sinabantwana njengoba silapha silwela amalungelo abo. So asikwazi ke ngokuprioritize ilungelo lizamva kunelisakuqala.
The learners are no longer going to school. Instead of preparing for their exams, they are busy with home chores. From Mpk TV News, I am Mpk at Twili in Mthatha.
A former teacher at Tinaga High School in Kariga in the Eastern Cape has suffered a stroke. This is allegedly due to the stress of going unpaid for months. Ntomboxolo Matiwane tells us more.
As a result of 24 years teaching experience in various schools, Mr. Anthony was eventually hired by Tinaga High School to become an English language assistant. He signed a contract this year in April 2021, requiring him to work at the school until December, but things did not go well for him, he further explains.
18 October lo nyaka ndiye ndawulela esibhedlele kanti ne-stroke andiqonda abale meko indingenele kangantloko. Esi stroke sam ke sitsho ndalala 6 days e-hospital. After that ndiye ndadiscovera into yobana andikwazi uhamba.
When he was not paid, he became stressed and he was diagnosed with a terminal illness that made it difficult for him to speak and walk properly.
Apparently, ndiye ndadiscovera into yobana I'm a burden to my wife because ndingazenzeli into. She washes me, she takes me to the toilet, she does everything for me. I'm literally a burden to her.
The situation left his family devastated and invited poverty in his family. Teacher's wife Lindelo Anthony explains.
Ukuphela kwakhe umsebenzi ngoSeptember isichane kakhulu lonto. As a result ngo-October wa-attackwa si-stroke. U-attackwa kwakhe si-stroke ke ngoku ithi ke ngoku akho mali khoya apha endlini. Unid medication, unid special diet, anikwazi andizi-afford zonke ezo zinto.
Indlela ke ngoku esikhathaza ngayo le into yokubana ndibukele uba indlu yam iyaphela. I pawned my fridge, I sold my wife's car, I pawned my laptop, I pawned my washing machine.
Attempts to solve the problem have been tried. The desire of Mr. Antony and his wife is for Mr. Antony to be paid his money from April 2021 until December 2021.
Okokoko ngapeyi besithule, but September saqalisa ufonele ibhisho, safonele department. Sichekisha bakwenzeka ntoni. We called the office ka Oscar Mabuyane, sa complaina kuyo, bathi masibanike 30 days. Bazayihoya yonke lento. Uphela kwe 30 days akakube khona ibhadlileyo sibambekayo siyifumanayo. Ibhisho ligxeka itinarha ligxeka ibhisho.
I'm not fighting ba department inike permanent post. Ndifuna ba indibhatale because disebenzile for 6 months then ba dismiss.
Even in our side as journalists, we have tried to contact the office of Mr. Fundile Gade, who is a member of Executive Council of Education, telephonically, but no one was available to answer. This is Mpk TV News, and I am Tomoxolo Matiwane in Kariega.
As the summer initiation season kicked off on Friday, about 70,000 boys from across the province are expected to go to the mountain to undergo this rite of passage. The House of Traditional Leaders in the Eastern Cape has assured government that COVID-19 regulations will be adhered to. Asandile Njongi reports.
As initiation forums prepare for the summer initiation season, the Provincial Department of Cultural Affairs says it is very important for initiates to get vaccinated, and they have started the process for summer initiation and screening for the initiates for COVID-19 symptoms. In a bid to reopen the initiation schools, the House of Traditional Leaders in the Eastern Cape assured the government that initiation schools will adhere to COVID-19 regulations and also want the government to lift a ban on initiation schools to prevent illegal schools.
The cabinet has pronounced and approved the risk-adjusted strategy. What is going to happen is that we have all the makangata to conform to COVID regulations. Abandwana, we are encouraging them to take the vaccine. It is not a prerequisite for Rubana or Luke Mundana, Ubama vaccine, but we just encourage Ubana a vaccine. Our district initiation fora are on the ground working to make sure that kids are screened before they go to the school. So there are processes already that are underway to make sure that all our children are coming back home safe.
Chief Langamavuso also stated that it is a law which is provided in the Initiation Act that all initiates must be approved by a senior traditional leader before going to the mountain.
It is a law provided in the Initiation Act that all initiates must be approved by a senior traditional leader, and parents must fill in forms, and there's no traditional leader that should not know, and a bomber that is there in that particular area.
The House of Traditional Leaders urged the parents to take responsibility for their children before going to the mountain. From Mpk TV News, I'm Asandile Njongi.
Welcome back. The Abatembu King Willekaya Dalingebo has called on South Africans to accept the apology recorded by the last president of apartheid, F.W. de Klerk, shortly before he passed away. This video apology was released a few hours after de Klerk's death on Thursday last week, and it drew mixed reactions. King Dalingebo was speaking at his private residence in Kululekweni in Mthatha over the weekend. This was during the handing over of a luxury vehicle by the EFF to him that got tongues wagging. Let's take a look.
Imincili yongameli kumkani yabathembo namhlanje buyele ekhaya Dalingebo. Ibiyimini enkulu amanine yiyizela esitsho amagwijwa kwaXhosa. Okukuze emva kokuba umongameli we-EFF uJulius Malema efezekise isithembiso ebesenze kwikumkani. uMalema ngethuba egaya inkxaso utyelele uDalingebo kwinyanga ephelileyo ze wamthembisa ngalo mnyonyovu wesithuthi sakwa-Mercedes-Benz.
We are not here to bribe the king like the former national chair said, because we're with the king in prison. So why didn't they say we're bribing him when we're with him in prison? When they've all abandoned him and they decided to imprison the king. What a taboo this government did to our own Tembo nation. We went there, we're with the king, we insisted that there should be a middle ground and the king must be released. Tried everything in our power, including bringing on board the best legal brains to make sure that the king is well looked after.
Ukumkani uDalingebo ube nombulelo ongazenzisiyo watsho esithi akanyotywa ngale moto kuba i-EFF uyaze ingekasekwa ngenxa yobudlelwane anabo noMalema.
Usayisi uyandazi uba andisosiluthu siluthu esihambe sinyotywa yonke indawo le. Lena into ingaske niyazi uba isisiqhamo senyembezi. Yekuba singafuni uhambe silila. Ukhona ke yena owandinyoba ngejele. Wathi kubu siyayise bengakayiformish i-EFF. That I vote DA, ndatsho ndanyiba isikipa se-DA libala. Not phantsi kwebhedi. So ngoku ngubani uzandibuza umbuzo uba ngophi umbutho mandihambe nawo.
Ukanti ngethuba kuvote lorhulumente basemakhaya ekuqaleni kwale nyanga, ukumkani Dalingebo uthi kulo nyaka ugqibeke lokuba avote lo mbutho we-EFF. Kwindaba zeMpk TV ndingulumka indawo ndisenkululekweni eMthatha.
Despite reports that the multi-million rand Lockout project, which is key in stabilizing the dire water situation in the Nelson Mandela Bay, has been halted due to 1.9 million rands being owed by the Amatola Water Board, MMC for Infrastructure and Engineering Tsono Nopuyeye says work at the site is continuing and that issues are being resolved.
The new coalition government to take over in the Nelson Mandela Bay has a bigger fish to fry, as the metro has a financial hole of 120 million rands. Most speculations tend to focus on the water shortage in this metro. The political leader for infrastructure and engineering claims that the water process in the city is not affected by the National Treasurer's rejection for the application.
Look, the Lockout is not at standstill due to the refusal of the rollover by National Treasury. And we are grateful for that it is not affected by this. So the work continues. If there are any challenges at Lockout, it would not have. They have nothing to do with this refusal or this rollover not approved by National Treasury. So the work continues. The challenges that we've had with the water board and other challenges are issues that are being attended to.
He further adds that the new coalition government to take shape has a lot to deal with in this metro, but the municipality is aiming at working all together.
We are not sure as to the issue of whether the new government will be able to resolve the matter of this rollover. And obviously there'll be a big hole to fill. 120 million is a lot of money. And so where we'll find the money, or the new government will find the money, it's still an issue that will need to be looked into.
From Mpk TV News, I am Jessica Bobo in Gqeberha.
And on to your national news. The South African Human Rights Commission today began its investigation into the July unrest that took place in KwaZulu-Natal and parts of Gauteng. This saw over 300 people dead and billions of rands worth of damages. The first witness to give oral evidence was Zama Nguse from Pietermaritzburg. Her nephew was one of the victims who died during the unrest. Nguse's nephew was confirmed dead on arrival at the hospital due to a gunshot wound to the chest, following what she described as Indian people in civilian clothing allegedly attacking the community after members of the community had broken into and looted from nearby shops. Thabani Nguse is the next witness which will be called to testify about the events of July 12th next weekend. Meanwhile, a case of assault with intent to do grievous bodily harm has been opened in Pietersburg in the Free State. This is after a farmer allegedly tied and dragged a 14-year-old boy behind a bakkie. According to the police, the farmer put the boy at the back of his bakkie with the intention of taking him to the police station after chasing a group of boys who allegedly went illegally hunting on a farm. As they were driving on the way, the boy jumped off from the bakkie and the farmer allegedly stopped. The investigation is ongoing and we will continue to bring you the latest as the story unfolds. Welcome back, and now it's time to look at some business news for this evening. In his weekly open letter, President Cyril Ramaphosa said the government's Social Employment Fund has been allocated 800 million rands and is expected to create 50,000 work opportunities. This fund was launched in October of 2020 as part of a COVID-19 response plan. This is the second phase of the plan, and applications are now open for organizations to become strategic implementing partners on the condition that each of these partners will be able to create work for at least 1,000 participants and reach the target within the first quarter of implementation. And with that, let's take a look at our markets. Let's take a look at our sports news.
Gqeberha-based DStv Premiership side Chippa United has suspended their head coach Gavin Hunt. According to the club, Coach Hunt is on precautionary suspension due to a string of poor results. Club veteran midfielder Kate Lentjes is now Chile Boys caretaker coach, and a local-born Siabulela Gwambi playing the assistant coach role. This season has been the worst start to the league for Chile Boys, with 10 matches and only 1 win. Currently, Chile Boys are at number 14 on the log with 7 points, 3 points shy of relegation. Staying with the football, South African Football Association SAFA has officially lodged a complaint after Bafana Bafana's 2022 Qatar FIFA World Cup hopes were ended by a controversial penalty decision. On Sunday, SA's hopes of taking part in the 2022 World Cup were ended after suffering a 1-0 defeat to Ghana, courtesy of a solitary goal from Andre Ayew. There is an outcry of a penalty awarded by a Senegalese referee after replays of the incident suggest that there was minimal contact between Bafana player and Ghana player. SAFA CEO Tebogo Motlanthe has confirmed that the incident was immediately reported to the match commissioner by SAFA. Finally, rugby. East London-born and two-try scorer Makazole Mapimpi helped his Springbok side to a 30-15 win against Scotland at Merrifield on a Saturday. The Springbok try machine says he is happy and he was doing his job and is glad that he helped Springboks to win against Scotland. Boks are currently in Europe for their end-of-the-year tour. They will play England in Twickenham on a Saturday in their final tour match. For Mpk TV Sport News, I'm Lunga Mandakana.
And that was Lunga with our sports update, but now it's time for a COVID update. Over the past 24-hour cycle, 262 new cases have been recorded, bringing the total number of active cases to 24,034. There have been 8 new coronavirus-related deaths in the country. With that, let's take a look at our weather. Let's recap tonight's leading stories.
A contractor has locked school children and teachers out of a school in Mthatha following non-payment for work done. A former teacher at Tinaga High School in Kariga in the Eastern Cape has suffered a stroke allegedly due to the stress of going unpaid for months.
And that brings us to the end of tonight's bulletin. Thank you so much for joining us. From myself, Lele Tungapi, and the rest of the Mpk TV news crew, it's good night.